soda pop. You're all I can do.
Michael and John can leave.
And, I've been very fortunate to grow up with the sport of tennis.
On a night intended for candles, carols, and peaceful family dinners, a thunderclap just tore through the tennis cosmos. Nobody had a narrative on their holiday bingo card when it exploded. Take a moment to picture this. A 20-year-old phenomenon wins a historic gold medal, makes well over $1 million in a single season, and then pulls off a move so spectacular that even the greatest athletes pause to admire. This is not a work of fiction. This isn't a sentimental rumor that's making the rounds on social media. Asia, Europe, and the Americas are all experiencing the emotional fallout from what is happening on Christmas Eve, 2025. You're going to hear about more than just cash and awards. It's about devotion, selflessness, and a decision that has served as a reminder to the whole sports community of the significance of tales like this. Stay with me because what transpired next transformed a touching moment into one of the most astounding bombshells tennis has witnessed in decades. However, there is something that has to be stated clearly before we go headfirst into this pandemonium. This channel recently achieved a milestone that was previously only a pipe dream. 1,000 subscribers. There were 1,000 people who thought it was worthwhile to click, listen, and discuss in the comments. That figure is more than simply a statistic. It symbolizes discussions, arguments, mutual enthusiasm, and an expanding fan base that is passionate about this sport. This story just serves to highlight the fact that we are just getting started. Thus, I sincerely thank you. Let's now discuss what has everyone talking, crying, and in a state of shock. December 24th, 2025. The tennis community was taken aback by two significant revelations that had nothing to do with holidays, while the majority of houses were occupied with wrapping paper and holiday soundtracks. A young woman who has been quietly preparing for greatness while bearing a very personal vow is at the center of it all. Alex Eala is her name, and that name is going to get ingrained in your memory, if it hasn't already. You must examine the current state of sports in order to comprehend why this time feels so different. Our time is characterized by excess. An image of a young athlete showing off a Lamborghini, a diamond-studded designer watch, or a tour of a mansion that seems more like a flex than a celebration goes viral every week. Success is now loud, predictable, and monotonous to the point of numbness. If you scroll long enough, everything will blend together. Champagne showers, fancy flights, and pricey gadgets. Enjoying achievement is perfectly okay, but the shock value has diminished. Because Alex Eala deviated from the script, her actions struck people squarely in the chest. She didn't reveal a high-end buy for herself or share a glamorous photo shoot. Rather, the recently proclaimed gold medalist from the Southeast Asian Games and the 2025 WTA season's breakthrough star discreetly spent $1.65 million of her prize money on a single item. A home that is substantial, lovely, and well worth every penny. This is the portion that has made grown-up admirers cry. She didn't do it for her personal comfort. It was intended for her parents. Give that some thought. A 20-year-old athlete who just had the best year of her career and is at the height of her earning potential decides to use her greatest financial accomplishment to provide security for her parents. There was just paperwork, keys, and apparently a torrent of tears on Christmas Eve morning. No announcement, no branded hashtags, no public celebration. Nor was this a snap decision. According to people close to the Eala family, Alexandra made this promise long before she was in the public eye. When she was working hard in junior circuits, staying in poor hotels, and pursuing dreams that seemed unattainable, she made a self-promise to herself that the first thing she would do if she ever succeeded would be to support her parents. Years later, she has fulfilled that pledge in the loudest, most subdued manner imaginable. You must comprehend what her parents invested in order to appreciate the significance of this act. Mike and Reza Eala did more than simply watch from the sidelines. They put everything at danger. One of the priciest sports in the world is tennis. With no assurance of success, coaching fees, overseas travel, tournament entries, equipment, fitness personnel, Recuperation programs and innumerable unknown costs mount up year after year. Talent is not the only thing that opens doors in the sport. It requires unwavering financial dedication. The Eala family put their beliefs ahead of their comfort. They gave up stability so their daughter may pursue greatness. Thus, it wasn't only a present when Alexandra gave them a house valued at over $1.5 million. It served as confirmation. It served as evidence that every sacrifice, worrying burden, and difficult choice had purpose. She was essentially stating, "You were right to believe." That in and of itself would have been sufficient for many fans to rank this as one of the year's most moving tales. However, the cosmos was not yet complete, because just hours after the news of the house purchase spread like wildfire, another statement was made that transformed a lovely story into a historic one. This time, it involved a name that is instantly respected. Steffi Graf, the first player in history to accomplish the Golden Slam by winning all 4 majors and Olympic gold in a single year, has 22 Grand Slam victories and was once ranked first in the world. A great who has lived peacefully with Andre Agassi and their family for the majority of her retirement, away from the spotlight. Exaggeration is not a trait of Steffi Graf. She doesn't give compliments lightly. She doesn't follow fads. However, she made a statement on Alexandra Eala that rocked the sport. Alex was referred to by her as the next generation's brightest diamond. Not the brightest diamond, not a potential talent, nor a future star. The entire tennis world pays attention when someone like Graf talks with that degree of assurance. And that was just the start, as word quickly spread that this was more than admiration. According to reports, Graf has agreed to tutor Alexandra Eala for 5 years. A long-term collaboration between one of the greatest players of all time and a young Filipino woman who recently transformed her family's life, not a symbolic encounter or a single training session. This is unheard of. Over the years, Graf has had numerous chances to mentor or teach up-and-coming talent, but it has continually failed. Her choice to intervene now conveys a strong message. Here, something remarkable is taking place. The narrative then transitioned from an emotional to an aerodynamic one. This Christmas Eve was more than just a happy occasion. It might have signaled the start of a new era in tennis history. Because history has already seen what happens when legends choose to invest in the future. The significance of Steffi Graf's advancement cannot be emphasized. Tennis enthusiasts are familiar with the pattern because the sport has a long memory. After Boris Becker joined Novak Djokovic's team, Djokovic changed from a top competitor to a merciless winner who ruled for a long time. Andy Murray finally broke over his Grand Slam ceiling and changed his legacy when Ivan Lendl sided with him. These alliances weren't purely decorative. They hardened rivals for the pivotal moments that determined careers, altered perspectives, and honed intuition. Steffi Graf, however, is even more uncommon. She was more than just a title winner. For a whole generation, she embodied perfection. It is nothing short of a coronation for her to choose Alexandra Eala as her mission after a purposefully quiet retirement. This is not a casual endorsement. Pay attention because this player is different, is the message conveyed by this signal flare to the tennis community. This announcement's significance is only increased by its timing. Alexandra Eala gave one of the most significant performances in Philippine tennis history just a few days before Christmas. Thailand hosted the 33rd Southeast Asian Games, which were more than just a regional tournament. They stood for decades of anticipation, hope, and disappointment for the Philippines. There hasn't been a Filipino woman at the top of the singles podium in 26 years. That was back in 1999. Many generations of athletes tried, succeeded, and took home silver or bronze that was equal parts pain and pride. Alexandra wasn't only playing for herself when she onto the court at the National Tennis Development Center in Nonthaburi. She was bearing the burden of expectations, history, and patriotism. It was expected to be a tough final. Manenka Sini of Thailand, her opponent, had the home fans, the energy, and the emotional boost of playing on home soil. She lacked an answer, though. With clinical accuracy, Alexandra demolished the match. The scoreline 6-1, 6-2 merely gives an indication of how comprehensive the performance was. Alex controlled angles, set the pace, and prevented her opponent from gaining any ground from the first rally. One of the most difficult tests in sports is competing against a hostile crowd. Every mistake is magnified, every triumph is muted, and the cacophony never stops. Alexandra remained unflinching. By the end of the games, she was thriving. Her shot-making was being praised even by the Thai fans. At that point, dominance gives way to respect. Her profile would have been raised by that performance alone. Steffi Graf, however, probably observed more than just neat winners and effective footwork. She observed calmness. She observed emotional regulation. She observed a rival who remains composed under pressure. The picture was completed when Alexandra's Christmas Eve gesture came to light, and Graf discovered that the same young woman had secretly used her prize money to safeguard her parents' future. Talent may be developed and taught. Character is unable to. That kind of grounding is uncommon, particularly in a sport that offers early exposure to fame and wealth. Because success came before perspective, Graf has witnessed innumerable prodigies burn out. She seems to have found someone with a different build in Alex Eala. The source of the funding is explained in the 2025 season, but it also clarifies why the fanfare isn't fake. Alexandra did not achieve success by accident. Point after point, she earned it. Her breakthrough performance at the Miami Open revealed her arrival to the world earlier this year. Miami is harsh. The circumstances are harsh. The pressure is similar to that of a Grand Slam, and the draw is stacked. With unwavering determination, Alexandra marched past more experienced opponents, refusing to play like someone appreciative of the opportunity. Analysts were obliged to revise their estimates just for that run. Then she won her first WTA 125 championship, proving that she was capable of winning competitions and not merely surprising opponents. Win after win accumulated against players who were meant to highlight her youth, but had much more tour experience. Rather, they were outplayed and outworked. Prize money increased gradually, tournament by tournament, until Alexandra's total for the season exceeded $1.65 million. That figure would cause a change in